You're watching Elevate with Emily, and today we're going to talk about the elements of emotion. In our last video, we discussed the role that emotion plays in communication and how things can go wrong so quickly despite our best efforts and best intentions. We talked about the importance of mapping out our emotional cycle to build awareness around what's going wrong so that we can catch it going wrong and actually use interventions to start making it go right. Because you can't solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. You will never put a band-aid on your bleeding cut if you don't even know it's bleeding. And oftentimes that's what I found is we know what to do. We are made to connect as humans. And just as when we get a paper cut, we know to put a band-aid on it, usually when we can identify the injury, we can naturally connect and heal and bond over that. But most of the time, we don't even know what the injury is because we don't have the tools to go deep enough to discover what actually is the root of our problems. And so here you're going to learn all of the tools and elements to help yourself in your relationship be able to communicate and connect on deeper levels than you even probably thought was possible. Today, as I describe the elements of emotion, I'm going to use an acronym to make it easy to remember. The acronym is STEAR, S.T.E.A.R. Every emotional response happens because of a situation. The situation in and of itself is neutral. It happened, right? Whether it was a hurricane, whether it was traffic, or whether it was something that someone said, such as, "You are ugly." That is a situation that happened. My partner said, "You should not go on that trip." Or my kid said, "I don't want to go to school." That's the situation that happened. The T is our thoughts. Our thoughts are very plentiful, right? Like 70,000 a day, right? And so we have so many thoughts. Most of them are negative. Thank you, survival brain, that we talked about in that first video. But our thoughts are not facts. They're just thoughts. But if we believe them, then they become true to us. The thoughts that we entertain, the thoughts that we focus on, the thoughts that we dwell on become our reality. They become the story we tell ourselves. So this is a situation that happened and it was bad, right? We are putting that negative connotation on that situation. The thoughts that we're thinking, the story that we're making naturally evokes some type of emotional response. Now you have your E. And as you're feeling this emotion is a body experience. It is a sensory, somatic experience. You can feel heaviness in your heart associated with sadness. You can feel this lightness, this buzz of energy associated with excitement or joy. You can feel tension, tightness, clenching associated with anger. And so as you're having this felt experience of an emotion, it's coming out in your actions and it's driving your behavior. And so you start acting and speaking and responding based on those emotions, which were created and amplified because of your thoughts that you had about a situation. And as a result, your reality follows along. Your thought shows up in that reality, becomes your reality. And this is how we can take control and steer our lives. As we own our thoughts, we own what we are bringing to the table. Many times it's unintentional. We are not aware that that is what we are doing because we let our survival brain take over. And in the last video, we already discovered that we are not our smartest in our survival brain. In fact, we would do things and say things that we would never do in our right mind. Like unintentionally drown someone with us, right? And so building awareness is key. Moving things that are happening outside of our awareness into our awareness is where the change can happen. And it takes practice because you have decades of doing it one way, believing it's one way, thinking it's one way, and that is wired into your brain. And so just implementing this once, twice, even 20 times, that's still pretty new to change and rewire your brain. And so it takes intentional, mindful effort to actively fight against your natural brain and to see the world differently. But then it does get easier with time. It does become more of a lifestyle, and you can also backslide. And I think that is life, just those ups and downs. And literally, that is life. One of my favorite quotes that I came across was, when you're looking at a heart monitor, you want to see the ups and downs. A flat line means you're done. For all of the begroaning that we do with like, oh, I'm tired of these highs, I'm tired of these lows, that's how we know you're alive. And in fact, there are other ways to see that and frame that so that you can come to appreciate both those highs and those lows. When those highs come, you can actually sit in that emotion and fully experience joy. And when that sadness comes, you can sit in and feel and experience it and still appreciate and find value in it despite it not feeling good. This paradigm shift is exactly what I'm going to teach you, but you have to be the one to implement it. I can't fish for you in this case, but I will do my best. I want to help solidify how you can use STEAR by using it with a very common example that most all of us have experienced before. That is traffic. So here you have the S. The situation is traffic. Now, is traffic good or bad? In and of itself, it's just traffic. Like it's just a fact. But what do we say traffic means? What are we thinking about traffic? It's in my way. It's blocking me from getting to my destination. I'm going to be late. This is annoying. This sucks. Okay? And what is so relatable is being late. You set out on time and now you're gonna be late and it's out of your control and it's gonna reflect bad on you. That sucks. You're gonna miss something important. And so it can be so aggravating, but let's slow that down and walk through exactly why that is. And so as we're thinking, I'm gonna be late, and we fixate on that, what emotion gets activated? It could be anxiety, and again, there's so many thoughts we can have and we have to follow each one on its own. And so that's why it's like so quick and so fast, because we have jillion thoughts going on at once, creating all of these emotions, and we're responding to it and we're just like, but we're just gonna follow one. You could be thinking, I'm gonna be late, my boss is gonna fire me, my coworkers aren't gonna like me, I'm missing out on something I paid for, right? So you can have all of those thoughts. Any one of those thoughts is gonna create some anxiety and even perhaps anger. So as you're sitting there thinking, my boss is gonna be mad, as you're sitting through traffic, you're starting to feel really anxious, on edge, like guarding yourself, preparing for this threat of your boss being mad at you. Behaviorally, that's gonna come out in your driving. The anxious driver, you're gonna be a little frazzled. Maybe you try to speed to like counter the fact that you're gonna be late. Then you start trying to cut around cars or tailgate and not let other cars in. And so you start driving in a way that actually makes you a bad driver. Like, you are more likely to get into an accident because of that type of driving. As a result, you're very likely to get into an accident, and if you get into an accident, you very well will be late. And so here you go thinking, I'm gonna be late, then leads you to feel and act in a way that actually is most likely to make you late. And so when we can take a moment and reflect, what am I thinking about this situation? Is that serving me or not? Are there other ways I can think about this? Are there other ways I want to feel? And you can play around with this model and make it work for you. And what I mean by that is typically you're not gonna just flip a coin and be like, I love traffic, right? Because that's just incongruent, and your brain's probably gonna read that as sarcasm, and then you're just like, I love traffic, and then you're gonna go down that model that is sarcasm, angry, annoyed, and then you're still like this aggressive, angry driver, that's likely to get into an accident. But what you can do is move from negative or unserving to neutral. And then from that neutral place, you can perhaps find a way to make it serve you. Doesn't mean it's positive, and it doesn't mean you like it, but it is serving you in a way that this other thought wasn't. And so if you move from thinking, I'm going to be late, or this sucks, to it is what it is. I will get there when I get there. It's out of my hands, and I accept that. There is nothing I can do to make me on time with this traffic. In that accepting, more neutral state, you're more relaxed, maybe even just feeling a little helpless, like whatever I do wouldn't work anyway, so I'm just gonna sit here. It is what it is. As you feel like helpless or resigned, then your actions are going to be more passive instead of aggressive. And you're gonna let that car in. You're gonna go the speed, well, you're not gonna be going the speed limit. You're gonna be going well under the speed limit, but you're not gonna try to be, crazily cutting around and whatever, swerving through traffic. And so the reality or the result is that you do get there when you get there. And that better serves you than getting into an accident. However, that more neutral, numbed out example still may not serve you best, because you're still just feeling hopeless, resigned, low in your mood. And who likes to feel that way? How does that serve you? How does that give you energy to face your day, or to look forward to things, to make an impact, to enjoy life? It doesn't. So if you can then take this to the next level of, okay, I am stuck in traffic. How can I make this serve me? Well, it sucks I'm stuck in traffic, but it is what it is. Now how can I make it serve me? Gets those creative juices flowing, and you might think, well, I've been meaning to call my sister all week. Now I have 20 extra minutes that I wasn't expecting to have. I'm gonna call her while I'm waiting in traffic, and I'm gonna catch up and connect with her. Or, hey, I was so rushed this morning getting ready that I now realize that I didn't pray, or I didn't read my scriptures. And so now you take that extra time to talk to God and check in with Him. Or you're listening to an audiobook or a podcast. I can't control when I'm gonna get there, but I'm gonna control the journey along the way. And so I'm gonna play my favorite tunes, and I'm gonna have a rock concert for one, like a party in my car on my way to work. And yes, you're still late. Yes, your boss still might be mad at you, but you are in your best state to handle that. Because imagine you're in this frazzled, anxious, rushed state going to confront a boss who's angry, versus depressed, hopeless state going to face your boss, versus calm, peace, inner peace, inner groundedness, even some energy or insight going to face your boss. Being able to take the brunt of that anger and be like, it happens. I'm sorry. It was out of my control. I hope you can understand. I'll do my best to make sure other people don't get into an accident. Because like, what, you want me to leave an hour early? Like, that's unreasonable. No. But like, you're in your best safe, secure state to handle that stressor, versus getting triggered, getting into your survival brain, acting and speaking from that survival brain, and then ending up in that deep end of water, fighting, both of you drowning together. And so this can be used in the moment, like literally right after watching this video, say you're in traffic, and then you're like, oh yeah, now I remember this video because I'm in traffic. How can I use this? But this is something that you can retrospectively or preemptively use. If there is a common theme or stuck area in your life, you can pause and run through this with that stuck area. Personally, I was able to use this in a stuck area of my life where I felt this pressure to be married. Everyone is always asking, are you dating anyone? They're asking my parents, is she seeing anyone? Is she getting married anytime soon? And I've just felt this pressure, and so it created this inner dialogue of, right, the situation is I am single. But now, because of all of these messages I'm hearing, they're just people's opinions, they're just people's thoughts, but I'm believing them, I'm giving importance to them, and I'm making them my own. And so I start to think something is wrong with me. That's why I'm still single, right? I must be broken. I'm not supposed to be single, yet here I am, right? So I start to have these unserving thoughts that then create feelings of shame, feelings of not being good enough, which then lead me to overanalyze and overfunction and be really stressed and not the best date material if I'm like stressed and overanalyzing and like feeling like I have to make myself smaller because there's something wrong with me. And so if I just pull back, then maybe whatever, right? Instead of not being authentic. And when we're not authentic and in tune with our emotions, then we lose our connecting power, because connection happens with emotion, with vulnerability. And so then as a result, my dates are not going good. I'm like what's wrong? And it's reinforcing that something's wrong. And then this cycle just continues and gets stronger and stronger. And so as I took a moment to sit down and analyze, what am I thinking about my state of being single? How is that impacting me, making me feel and behave and function? What do I want to believe? I want to believe in God when He says, I will be blessed to be married. I want to trust His timing. I want to believe that I am supposed to be single right now, because otherwise I wouldn't be. Like, otherwise I would be married. But there is a purpose and there is a reason. There are people I'm able to help and connect with, things that I'm able to do to make an impact that in this time and season I'm able to do because I am single, and that God has such a bigger picture for me that I can see for myself. And so then I change that thought. I have this epiphany, and I just have this felt sense of rightness come over to me as I look at the reverse of that statement. I'm not supposed to be single, and look at it and say out loud, I am supposed to be single. Now, how is that true? How could that be true? And then I start to fill that in with evidence of how I was able to get my master's degree, places I've been able to go to, people I've been able to meet because I was single, people I've been able to help, circumstances, just incredible things that have happened that would not have been able to happen had I been married 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? And so then that shifts my emotions. Instead of feeling shame or anxiety, I now feel peace. I now feel acceptance. I feel joy. And I feel seen, heard, and loved by God. And so grateful. And as I feel that way, I am acting more congruent. I am living an aligned life with my values and aligned with my Father in heaven and His plan. And then I am in the best state possible to then date or get married. But I can rest assured that God has a plan for me, and that no matter what does or doesn't happen, I can be happy and content with my life as I continue to live it. Because if I continue to feel this way for the rest of my life, this contentment, this peace, this excitement, this joy and creativity, it's going to be a really great life no matter what. And if I can be that person when I'm married, it's going to be a great life. And so this model literally changed my life. And I know it can change your life too if you put in the effort to practice and to build up that awareness and consult. Get that support group. Get those people that can help shape and keep you in line with the kind of life that you want to live and be your support. Now that you know how to take control of the wheel and steer your life, you are going to notice incredible changes happening, and I want to hear about them. So comment below and tell me about how this is impacting your life, your relationships, even your relationship with yourself. And I look forward to continuing on our journey together to manage our brains, to elevate our souls, and to become our best selves. I'll see you in the next video.